All right, everybody, welcome back to the Heart of Many Homes podcast, the quick little podcast that you want to listen to if you're only staying on the elliptical till the podcast is over. I'm Laura Fengman. I am a realtor licensed in Tennessee and Virginia. For full brokerage information, please see our website at www.weknowknoxville.com. All right, so I mentioned in a previous session here that children kind of run the world and kind of decide what happens with real estate. And so I thought maybe we ought to go ahead and address that because I think that might have been a little confusing. But the reality is when you want to think about who runs the world, with all due respect to Beyonce, the answer is very simple and gender neutral. It's kids. So a lot of our economy is in some form or fashion driven by real estate, for starters. Not necessarily the standard buy-sell transaction part, but also all those peripheral industries. Right? Think about everything that kind of goes into and is inherently tied to the process. So the family-owned pest inspection company and the local crafter who's making closing gift baskets, and insurance companies and mortgage companies, and ultimately the federal government, because Lord knows everybody's got their hand in there somewhere needing some sort of fee or tax or something like that. And this spider web of services exists only with consistent patronage. And that's brought about by the decision of one person to sell and another person to buy. Consumers generally don't make these major financial decisions and commitments on a whim. And there's generally some planning involved, and that's where kids come in. So kids are bound to timelines and schedules and calendars, primarily centered on the school year. And the type of calendar a school system keeps is going to vary. So it might be a traditional 9-month calendar, or they might be using some variation of a year-round school calendar. Timing and demand is going to vary between markets just because you don't know what's happening in one and how it will transfer to the other. But to ease transitions, a lot of parents will plan moves during breaks from school. And the most obvious of those is summer vacation, obviously. But there are so many other opportunities and times that buyers and sellers and realtors should consider. Winter break is generally pretty substantial. There are several holidays taking place within a pretty short time frame, so some families are going to opt to use that period of time to transition. And of course, the winter break also often coincides with the end of a semester, so it makes switching schools a little bit easier when that happens. Now, the shorter breaks shouldn't be discounted. Depending on the market and the financing method, of course there are plenty of variables, the contract to close period could be 30 to 60 days. And lots of times you can work out custom periods and make requests for specific closing dates. Lots of times that can be negotiated. But that means that sellers should be preparing their homes for market in times like mid-October and late January. Those aren't typically thought of as peak times for selling your home. Lots of times we don't even think of those as hot markets. We put a lot of the focus on spring and summer. But when children are involved, Thanksgiving break and spring break are critical. And lots of times families are going to use those periods of time for house hunting. So they're going to be browsing available properties and looking to visit their favorites when they use the flexibility of those holiday breaks to come and take a look. So a contract on a property at Thanksgiving means potentially a Christmas close and a New Year move. And you get a contract over spring break, and that means the end of a school year and the beginning of your new life in your new home. So sellers looking to put their home on the market should be completing their punch list, whether it's repairs or curb appeal or any sort of sprucing up. Have that done by mid-October. And the other side of that is late January, because that gives the agent time to schedule a photographer. Your agent, sidebar here, your agent should be scheduling a professional photographer. And after those pictures come back, you need some time to get marketing materials together, get them prepared, get them to the printer, and you want to have that home in the MLS and live on the market just prior to those smaller but really critical breaks in the school year. Now, obviously, there are plenty of market segments when it comes to home buyers. So one of the fastest growing subcategories of home buyers is single women. And first-time buyers, whether or not they're parents, first-time buyers are an increasing demographic. Now, there's tons of information out there on consumer statistics. NAR has a great home buyer and seller profile that they do every year. So 2019's is out now. That profile is out, as well as a generational outline, which I didn't realize before and actually looked into today and found some really interesting statistics there as well. So aside from taking that information back, and aside from school-aged young people, there's a market for people who are preparing to start families, and those whose families have kind of outgrown their current living quarters, need to move up, or maybe they're downsizing. Maybe we've got an empty nest situation, and maybe your sellers don't have children, don't ever want any, never had any, and they're living perfectly happy, completely fulfilled lives without having to deal with things like diaper rash and picky eaters and middle school mean girls. Frankly, I'm a little jealous. But even if they don't, there's a good chance that the potential buyers do. So for this foreseeable future, in one way or another, kids are going to continue to run the world. So I hope that gave you something to think about and maybe consider. We are now in the beginning of 2020. We're moving to that end of January timeframe. And if selling something that you're thinking about, don't wait too long. It takes a little bit of time to get things prepared, and you don't want to miss your market. If you have any questions, you are welcome to reach out. We're always happy to hear from you. And until next time, take care.